Yo, what's going on, guys? Dillwobs here. Welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Today we have some insane leaks for Season 6 and the lore that will take us to Season 6, which will finally introduce the villain Mephisto in Marvel Rivals, along with new leaked heroes Deadpool and Elsa Bloodstone. Now settle down because we have a lot to unpack and Season 6 already sounds like it's gonna be amazing. So let's break down how we are getting to Season 6 with Mephisto, Deadpool, and Elsa Bloodstone. Starting off with the Season 5 lore that we now know from the gallery card stories that are coming in Season 5. So just so you're aware, Gambit and Rogue were originally getting married in their normal timeline, and that's when the time stream entanglement happened, and that's what we saw in the Season 5 trailer, where there was a storm, and then everything went out of hand. Well, after the time stream entanglement, Rogue and Gambit got remarried pretty quietly. Not many people were able to attend, but the one thing that Gambit was missing was the very fancy ring he'd originally given to Rogue. So in search for new precious rings for his wife, he struck up a deal with the Grand Master, and the Grand Master promises to give Gambit a pair of the rarest rings in the universe. But Gambit's side of the deal is that the Grand Master wants him to steal a contract that's locked away in the collector's gallery. And we can actually see this happen in the MVP animation of Gambit's new skin coming at the start of Season 5. You can see he steals the contract from the collector. But what actually is this contract? Well, this contract is a contract between Cynthia Von Doom and Mephisto. So Cynthia Von Doom is Dr. Doom's mother, and she formed a deal with Mephisto to give her the power to protect her people. But that came at a great cost to her, and ultimately resulted in Mephisto having her soul down in hell. Now, in another gallery card coming in Season 5, we get a story told from Doom 2099, whose memories of his early life have been lost. So he doesn't remember too much about his early life, including his own mother. But after the time stream entanglement, Doom 2099 has been having strange visions. A face that appeared in his mind, the face of a beautiful woman. He said every time he closed his eyes, she was there, whispering his name softly, as if she was haunting him. And that's where Doom was determined to find out who she was, tapping into the power of Chronovium that he'd collected throughout the Marvel Rivals lore, using its pure chronal energy, and this worked. The images of the woman became clearer. He could see her trapped in a hellish dimension, eternally tortured by unyielding flame. She no longer whispered his name lovingly as she had in his earlier visions. Now, she cried it out, begging for him to save her. But every time he tried to reach out to her, the Chronovium would shatter and the vision would end. And then finally, he saw a faint image of a piece of parchment, some sort of contract. And though its full details were obscured, he could read the name Cynthia on the contract. So Doom 2019 is having visions of his mother and the contract that's held in the collector's gallery. And he now knows that the contract is the key to finding this woman, and perhaps even finding himself. And he discovers that the contract is in the hands of the collector, but knows he's unlikely to part with his treasures freely. But Doom will not be denied his prize. So the Season 5 lore actually themes around this contract between Mephisto and Cynthia, Dr. Doom's mother. So Doom 2099 wants the contract, but also Gambit is trying to steal the contract to give to the Grand Master. And the reason the Grand Master wants the contract is because that he knows that it has something to do with Dr. Doom, and because he knows Dr. Doom has been causing chaos in the time stream, he thinks the contract will be good bargaining power when Doom ultimately stumbles into his home. So Marvel Rivals is setting up the lore for Mephisto, and he will likely be our villain in Season 6, and I know you guys are super excited for that. But where does Deadpool and Elsa Bloodstone come into this? Well, I appreciate you guys sitting through the video because we have to unpack all the context. And that takes us to what I believe is the final gallery card in the Season 5 Battle Pass and its story written from the collector's perspective. And basically he tells us that he'd swapped the contract out for a fake. However, during Gambit and Rogue's heist, they figured it out and did end up successfully stealing the Mephisto contract. But instead of just capturing Rogue and Gambit, he decides that he wants to play the Grandmaster at his own game, knowing that the Grandmaster is the one who asked Gambit to steal the contract. And this is where it teases the next heroes, because he says, believe it or not, I happen to have a few Earthborn operatives of my own that have been working for me behind the scenes. A blathering, foul-mouthed mercenary and a monster hunter as deadly as she is beautiful. They already know my gallery well, and they won't hesitate to pull the trigger when they find their targets. Plus, they will make the chase far more amusing to watch. So it turns out Deadpool and Elsa Bloodstone are actually already currently working for the Collector. And this makes sense with previous lore, where we found out that a strange man in red had been sent to look for Psylocke, it's clear now that this is Deadpool, who was hired by the Collector to track Psylocke down. And we've had lots of leaks for Deadpool recently. We've had voice lines where other heroes are interacting with him. And of course, we've seen Deadpool teasers all over the game in cosmetics, so Deadpool is finally coming to the game. And since this should be the final gallery card of the Battle Pass, that's the gallery card that always teases the next two heroes. Like in Season 3, we had the gallery card that showed us Dijon, which was Daredevil, and also teased Angela. And then in Season 4, we had the letter from the Grandmaster, which teased Rogue and Gambit. And now in Season 5, we have the Collector teasing Deadpool and Elsa Bloodstone. For those of you who don't know, Elsa Bloodstone is a monster hunter, and she was recently leaked in the game files, which gives even more evidence that she's coming next season. And here's some background on Elsa Bloodstone for you. Elsa Bloodstone is a trained monster hunter who was trained by her father, Ulysses Bloodstone, who was a near-immortal hunter who had lived for thousands of years thanks to the Bloodstone gem engraved in his chest. And some of Elsa Bloodstone's powers are that she's immune to vampire bites and can even cure vampires. She also has superhuman strength, speed, stamina, agility and reflexes, and even superhuman senses, sight and smell. But she also has regenerative healing capabilities, and her father was even able to regenerate entire limbs. So maybe we'll get some kind of self-healing ability there. Now, Elsa also now has a Bloodstone shard in the palm of her hand, which allows her to unleash a concussive blast of energy, which will almost certainly be incorporated into her kit when she becomes a playable hero in Marvel Rivals, this giant blast that you can release from the palm of your hand. She's also a highly skilled combatant with melee weapons. She can use pretty much anything as a melee weapon, including a guitar, so there's a chance her primary fire is melee focused. However, she is also a skilled marksman. She's often seen using dual-wield shotguns and even dual-wield Uzis that she once hid inside of a guitar case. So it's definitely hard to pinpoint right now exactly how she'd play in-game. Maybe she'll have the ability to use a melee weapon alongside some dual-wield guns. And in Midnight Suns, she did team up with the heroes to fight against Mephisto, so we do already have ties there. And her coming with Deadpool makes so much sense, especially with the recent romance that the two shared. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any role information on these two heroes, but to be fair, that doesn't really matter, as we thought that Gambit was going to be a duelist this whole time from the original leaks, and the devs changed it and ended up making him a strategist. So it's up in the air of the roles. I think Deadpool would actually make for a good Vanguard, and then Elsa would be a cool duelist, but also could be a cool strategist with the power of the Bloodstone shard. So very exciting stuff to come in Season 6 of Marvel Rivals. I know Season 5 isn't out yet, but we're here to give you that exclusive news. And I'm sure in the early access today, you'll be seeing a lot of these gallery cards, and then because you've watched this video, you'll understand all of the context and the lore of Season 5 that takes us into Season 6 against Mephisto with Deadpool and Elsa Bloodstone. Anyway, that's it from me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Are you excited for what's to come in Marvel Rivals? And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.